Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. I watched two games today and then two halves of games, and I figured that was enough to do a post-game recap. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and drop a like on this video. Channel just hit 40K, which is much appreciated. Also, real quick, I do need to promote two things. First of all, video I just uploaded on this channel is very different from what I typically upload, and because of that, it did not do well. It's a video where in a locker room chat we talk about an interesting story around Dennis Rodman. I understand if that doesn't sound that appealing, but if you could check it out, I promise you, if you give it a chance, that video is very entertaining. And then second of all, some of the videos on my main channel have been performing rather poor lately, so if you could go watch those, that would be much appreciated. I don't have a reason for it doing poorly. I just don't like that they're doing poorly, so go watch them. It's not that hard. Anyways, let's talk about these games. So I watched Bulls versus Heat, sadly. I watched Mavericks versus Lakers, and then I watched the second half of Jazz versus Grizzlies, Timberwolves, which ended up being a good game. And then I watched Nuggets versus Rockets the second half, which was not good, but I got to see some more Michael Porter Jr., which is good. So first, let me talk about Mavericks versus the Lakers. This game was interesting because the Mavericks were struggling for a good chunk of it, and the Lakers were winning in spite of Anthony Davis not playing very well. He finished with 17 on 23% shooting, which is not good, though he did get to the line at a decent amount. And pretty much as it always is with the Lakers, without LeBron and then AD having a bad game, it's just kind of a mix of everybody contributing in one way or the other. And Ben McLemore, ever since he has been on the Lakers, has been very good. This game, he was 6 for 10 from 3. On the Mavericks side of things, Luka was struggling shooting the ball, although he did have some clutch moments later on to propel them forward. I didn't realize Dwight Powell had this good of a game. Good Lord, he had 25 points, and he only missed one shot. That's pretty damn good. Good for you, Dwight Powell. This game wasn't that... I don't have too many takeaways from this game. I will say... I don't really understand at this point why Nico Melli is a rotation player in the NBA. Maybe I do understand, like, there was no Porzingis in this game because of some ankle thing, so maybe he's not normally a rotation guy, but like Nico Melli is a shooter who can't shoot and doesn't contribute in any way outside of that, so I don't really know why he plays. For the next game, for the second half of Jazz versus Timberwolves, this ended up being probably the best game of the day, or at the very least the best game that I watched today. The Bulls versus Heat game was close, but it was not a good game, I'll tell you that much. So Jazz versus Timberwolves. The Jazz are without Donovan Mitchell, but the Minnesota Timberwolves are with D'Angelo Russell, who since coming back for the Timberwolves has been very, very good, and actually making me question to some extent my video that was like the Timberwolves need to let Karl-Anthony Towns go. Thing is, I still think in the long run, regardless, that's what needs to happen and what will happen. But I did express a little bit more hesitance in D'Lo being a big difference maker than I probably should have, because especially with Malik Beasley coming back from his suspension relatively soon, and then having guys like what's his name? He didn't play this game. Jalen Noel sticking out in the rotation. And Jaden McDaniels, who was very good this year and very underrated, among the best rookies in the league, and Anthony Edwards coming into his own. I mean, this team could be pretty good, and they win this game versus the Jazz. Of course, no Donovan Mitchell drastically changes what this team actually is, but pretty much every time the Jazz play without Donovan Mitchell, which is actually relatively frequently, they have guys who contribute in other ways. Like, obviously, Jordan Clarkson can score off of the bench, although, damn, he shot poorly this game. The big guy here was Bojan. He hit a couple of clutch threes in this one. Obviously didn't end up mattering because they lost, but he was 7 for 13 in this one. And Joe Ingles is one of those guys. He was 1 for 9 in this game, but 7 assists. He had like a 14 assist game the other day. He just is, for a guy who is slow as hell and really isn't that great of a ball handler, he just makes plays. If Joe Ingles was like 7 feet tall, would he not be like a B, maybe like a C plus Nikola Jokic? Because he honestly could be. He's a little too small for that, though. But yeah, that's that game. Not too much. Also, D'Lo hit some clutch shots, I should mention, and he is coming off of the bench. Although it doesn't seem like he has much of a minutes restriction, so at this point, I don't know why he's not starting. He got more minutes than Ricky Rubio, who was starting by almost 11 minutes. So yeah, I'm assuming that's just going to go away relatively soon. But yeah, ever since they have been winning ever since D'Lo has come back. In fact, let me pull up Basketball Reference just so I can get an idea of their record since he has been playing, because I am curious what it is. I'm going to keep talking so that I don't have to do a cut in this video. Game logs 2021. He has played since the 51st game of the season, and they have played 10 games, and I guess it'd be 11 after this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6 with D'Lo back. Now, that's not the best record in the world, but for what the Timberwolves have been this year, nearly 500 ball, that's pretty damn good of an improvement, because and to think that they also have been missing, what's his name, the shooting guard, whose name escapes me right now, even though I said it a second ago, Malik Beasley. Him being back, it clearly has made a big difference. Anyways, I've been harping on this for too long. So moving on, Nuggets versus Rockets, second half. This was not a very good game because the Rockets are not very good and the Denver Nuggets are. But Michael Porter Jr. in this one, most of his scoring did come in the first half. However, he finishes with 39 points, 12 for 21 from the field, 8 for 12 from 3. Got a lot of three-pointers off of screens and stuff. He had a pretty good second half, but the first half is where he got a majority of the scoring. Jokic did Jokic things. I didn't realize PJ Dozier went 10 for 13. He's one of those players that, like, if you don't pay that much attention, you won't really notice what they're doing. I actually got to see a decent amount of garbage time minutes from Austin Rivers, although he did play 29 minutes in this game, which, granted, a lot of this game was garbage time, but that was something. Really not much to take away from this game. There were a couple of good plays from DJ Wilson, and also, I look at the box score. I didn't really notice it in the game. Kelly Olynyk with 11 assists, and he had 21 points, almost a triple-double, actually. That would have been something. But Kelly has been on ever since he's been in Houston, he's been on a scoring tear, which is certainly interesting. If I look at the stats, he, in 16 games, has averaged 18 points per game on 71% true shooting. Jesus Christ. Apparently, Kelly Olynyk has turned into that one version of him versus, what was it, the Wizards, where he had that one game where he was like Larry Bird. Yeah, apparently, if this keeps up, maybe the joke about them trading James Harden for Kelly Olynyk isn't quite as bad. But let me talk about Bulls versus Heat. This was a frustrating game because the Bulls actually managed to give me hope, which is the worst because they do that all the time and then they rip it from right under me. I got to say right out of the gate, probably the best Kobe White game of the season. At the very least, the best that I have watched. He was hitting shots. He was hitting big shots. He was making good drives. He was hitting his threes. I like it when he spots up, and he was doing that a lot in this game. He did have like 3 turnovers in like 5 minutes at the very start of the game, and he finished with 6 turnovers. But overall, still good. Vucevic did Vucevic things. And I am kind of watching Vucevic, like, I feel like he was like thinking as soon as he got out of Orlando, like, finally I'm gonna be on a like actually good basketball team, and it's just right back to the same shit. So I'm sure that's frustrating. Denzel Valentine, I have to point out, in this game, he was actually doing pretty solid for a good chunk of this game. And then as the Bulls are making a late game run to get themselves, it was like a 5-point lead from the Heat with like a minute left, and the Bulls had momentum. Denzel brings the ball up court, and he puts up a 30-foot three with 20 seconds on the shot clock over Jimmy Butler that airballs. And that's the game, basically. Like, it wasn't actually the game, so they actually made a couple more buckets and kept it close for the last minute and put pressure on the Heat, but as far as I'm concerned, that was game. That was like, yep, all right, the hope you gave me of us winning this game, it's not happening. Holy shit. I just looked at the Heat box score. I knew it was a pretty even affair. Like they were spreading the ball quite a bit, but uh, Jesus, 20. If you look at the box score, Duncan Robinson 23, Kendrick Nunn 22, Jimmy Butler 20, Bam Adebayo 20. Also, Bam Adebayo had 10 assists, and you could definitely tell that in this game because he was just whipping passes across the court. And I think his playmaking could get to the point where he's at like 6-7 assists per game. I honestly think it could if the Heat fully just embrace that side of his game. They only let him do it like a bit, which is still good, but they could let him do it more, and they really don't. Yeah, I also saw a bit of Dwayne Dedman in this game, which is cool because I was like, why has no one signed him for a while? And he played all right. But yeah, this game, in the title of this video is probably gonna be like, I'm done with the Bulls or something like that. Some more dramatic shit. This is the first Bulls game I've watched out of the last like 3 or 4. They beat the Hornets the other day, and they've actually went on a 2-game win streak before this game. But I'm pretty checked out at this point with this season. Like even if they did make the play-in, and I'll watch it if they make the play-in. But even if they did make the play-in and they got some, and they made it to the 8th seed or the 7th seed or whatever the fuck, I wouldn't feel proud of that in any regard because the only reason why this team would be a playoff team is because they had a good stretch of like 2-3 games and the conference was shit. That's what it would be. It's nothing to be proud of. Like typically being the 8th seed really isn't something to be proud of, but like it would feel like growth. But making the playoffs at this point would not even feel like growth for this team, and I don't even care really if they do. Like I'm not going to be too dramatic. I think going to this offseason, they make some moves. I know based on this Vucevic trade, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to try and make things happen, and I think they will make things happen, but I'm very frustrated with the team right now. I still think they can make things happen, and then the Bulls will be a solid playoff team next year. But actually making me watch games right now, just simply checked out of it. I'm done watching the Bulls for the rest of the season outside of if they have a close game and I'll check in for that, or if they make the play-in and I watch the play-in. But that's pretty much it. I only watched this game because I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't even know why I watched this game. I just did. Probably because the Bulls always find a way to suck me back in. But yeah, not watching the Bulls for most of the rest of this year. Mostly because it just makes me angry. And it's like, at this point, I'm just torturing myself by tuning into these games. Denzel Valentine, by the way, is a player that I've defended quite a bit in the past because I thought Bulls fans gave him an unfair rap. But yeah, he's not good. He could be good. And really, it's entirely decision-making on his part because statistically, you look at his splits, good three-point shooter. So, you look at it, he's done some stuff with secondary playmaking. He's a relatively decent-sized wing / two-guard, so he's not bad defensively. He tries hard on that end for the most part. But he's one of those players that thinks he's better than he is, and that's his downfall. If he fully committed to shooting spot-up three-pointers and trying hard on defense and sometimes attacking a closeout and maybe finishing a layup or maybe making a pass, if he just did that constantly, solid NBA player. But unfortunately, he takes a bunch of floaters, he takes a bunch of deep-ass threes, off the dribble shots like he's good, like really good, and he's not, and it's frustrating. And that 3 that he took against the Bulls was like, get him off my fucking team. Anyways, that's that. Bulls piss me off. But what else is new? All right, again, go check out that Dennis Rodman video. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy it if you watch it. And then, yeah, go back to my main channel. That's still the main thing. Like, it kind of infuriates me when I get more views on this channel because, like, I'm glad this channel is successful, but also this is still my bottom of the barrel content. So go watch the other stuff before you watch this stuff. Anyways, that's it. Goodbye.